What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to look at this new kind of type of AD build that is popping up everywhere at the moment and how it can probably help you net yourself a few more wins at least. I'm not promising this is going to carry the 0 and 10 Yasuo that you have feeding in your top lane, but it should help you at least be more effective early. One of the reasons I'm making the video is because you'll probably start to do the most damage in the game like with these builds, even if it's actually not that obvious. Think of it like, hey, if you're struggling with AD carry, then try this build out. It'll probably help you quite a bit and more than you think. This whole thing revolves around Blade King first on basically everyone, to be honest, or at least if you're going to build it at some point in the game, then you might as well grab it straight away. AD carries suck early mostly, and a Blade gives you that little extra edge that they really need, especially if you want to fight. In general, instead of only having like AD or only having attack speed from your first item, you get a mix of everything. AD, attack speed, lifesteal, burst, tank shredding. Like, you're much better with this in the lane than anything else you can really buy. Buying a bulk first means that your build is better at 1 to 2 items really, then you spike up at 4 again, and a crit build, for example, would be worse at 1 or 2 items but then better at 3 and about even at 4. That's kind of how you want to think about this. Like, we're shifting the AD carry's power a little bit more early and making us better at the start of a game. Now, Arrow is arguably one of the best AD carry players in the entire world at the moment. He's playing in the NALCS for P1 and he's a typically aggressive AD carry. He rushes this on almost everyone, Caitlyn, Ezreal and stuff like that, just because he can fight more early. That's kind of the idea. You get a lead, you snowball the game, you actually be relevant, and you do more even with a bad team. That's kind of also why I wanted to make the video. I know that's what a lot of AD carry players struggle with, like if your team's feeding and stuff, and this helps a lot with that. So should you do it every single game? Probably not. If you're massively far ahead, you don't really need to, but it is much easier to play, that's for sure. So if you're a beginner to an AD carry, then this is probably a good start. It's not just the Blade though on its own. This is where the new type of build actually comes in more. Blade, runes, and arm pen. This is what Arrow does most of the games as well, by the way. So Blade first is a bigger power spike, like we said, lifesteal, the active, the AD, and the attack speed to fight more. Runen second gives you a ton more lifesteal. So you heal on all 3 of the bolts now from the Runens. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but you actually lifesteal from the percentage damage on the Blade. So because that percentage damage applies on all 3 bolts as well, you deal 24% current health damage spread across those 3 targets, and you heal for all of that. This is probably the biggest reason why these two are so insane together right now. The damage is really good actually, but the lifesteal is crazy, especially if you're running 18-0-12. Now if you get arm pen after that, Black Cleaver on some of them, or Last Whisper, even just the 1300 gold Last Whisper, not the upgrade by the way, AD carries do not have that much of an issue with squishy targets that much. It's the tanks or the bruisers that cock block us really and make our lives difficult. Buying arm pen though earlier, it kind of gives us the answer. You do a ton more damage, increases your normal AD, your crits, your abilities, and the percentage damage from the Blade, which is physical. It's also a ton more healing from auto attacks, plus the percentage damage, which is doing more now as well. You have this ability to kill tanks as well as squishy targets, which is why you're so much more relevant early into the game. Now this is the thing, okay, you might not get the massive crits as much, it might not be obvious, but you'll be doing a lot more AoE area damage in these fights, and way more than you're actually realizing. So with this build in general, the main things really easier to kill tanks, percentage damage, arm pen, and lifesteal to survive as well. You're much harder to kill actually, like you have the active move speed, a lot of lifesteal to heal yourself back up. You've gone from single target damage to AoE damage. Now you deal crits, percentage damage, and auto attacks to 3 people at once in a team fight. You also heal for more than normal builds, way more. Heal on 3 targets, heal on the percentage damage, both of which do more with arm pen. To give you an idea, Arrow did the most damage on his team, more than an Orianna, with Caitlyn running Blade King, Runens, and Lord Dominic's. It's not because he one burst everybody or anything like that, not the massive crits, but the consistent damage output across multiple people that really boosted it. If there is no tank, then obviously you can skip the Last Whisper and go for an Infinity Edge straight away, maybe another crit item afterwards. Crits are really good, but pretty crap actually versus tanks with no arm pen, and that is really what this is fixing. It's also Fervor over Warlord. So Warlord is really good healing, especially later into the game, but Fervor is a lot more damage. It's hard to use Fervor with no lifesteal though, especially in a crit build. You're not really going to build it until like 4th. Going Blade first means you can take Fervor and be more aggressive overall in longer fights, and you're not going to get punished for it, so you just get this extra damage for free. This build is much more well-rounded, and if you're struggling to have an impact as an AD carry player, it's probably worth giving a shot and seeing how you get on. So what champions would I use this on then? Not the obvious ones, by the way, like Lucian and Kalista, who already use it, but other ones, like different ones. Ezreal tier into Blade if you want to fight early and have more pressure, rather than kind of power up and stack your tier a bit faster. It's actually really good on him. It's a lot of damage. Ezreal is much more of an aggressive champion if you have these damage items. It's not really really associated with him because we have this ramping up period with the man immune, but actually rushing a blade can do a lot of work. Caitlyn as well, if you want to take further and fight earlier, then you can do this blade rush, honestly. Like if you don't fight though, I'd probably say it's not worth. Warlords is really good with the crit build later, like 3+ items, but Fervor and Blade the Ruined King can be really good early. For Jinx, it improves her lane phase. Crit is really good on her, I know, but she gets boned so hard in the lane phase, and Blade the Ruined King kind of does fix that. Plus, when you get to team fights, you're doing AoE crits and AoE percentage damage. Tristana is the opposite, really. She's very strong in the lane phase, and Blade makes her better with Fervor, and she can do a lot more damage. Trist, in my opinion, is a champion that needs to get ahead, or you're going to suffer a bit, and this helps with that. Draven as well is a bit of a weird one. Like, I prefer rushing a Bloodthirster, but Blade the Ruined King is really good as well. It's a bit more well-rounded rather than stacking like all your eggs into Burst Basket, I guess. I don't want to make this video too long. As I said, it's more just like something to try if you're struggling a little bit or you don't understand why all these professional players are actually rushing this build. Thanks for watching until the end. I'm going to go enjoy the sun, but for now it's time for some robots.